So Birds of Prey isn't doing so well. I saw this movie opening night in a packed theater. There were tons of guys with DC t-shirts coming in and girls with multicolored pigtails. So the DC diehards and Harley Quinn fans definitely showed up. That's who was excited for this movie. Apparently everybody else wasn't, which I'm actually kind of sad about because I left this movie actually having thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I wasn't blown away, but I was glad I went, and I had a good time. And when I was telling people about it later and getting a little bit into the story, people were like, oh, I didn't know that's what it was about. The trailers gave away nothing about the story or what was in it for people that aren't necessarily diehard fans of Harley Quinn. Basically, if you're not going to this movie out of undying love for Harley Quinn, then what you can go to this movie for is just a really great setup for some very vibrant and fun characters. This isn't a plot-driven movie. Like, the plot isn't really as concerned with being intricate or anything necessarily of note. What's more important is getting to know these characters and learning the hows and whys of them all eventually coming together. So the real story is about the fact that Harley Quinn has now been dumped by the Joker. Now that she's on her own, there is an entire city of people that are looking to get revenge on the Joker. And since you can't really get revenge on the Joker because he's still prominent and powerful, hey, why not kill Harley Quinn? Among these people is Black Mask, played by Ewan McGregor. So to bargain for her life, Harley offers to retrieve this diamond. This diamond used to belong to a prominent mob family in Gotham City that was eventually killed. This family had a huge fortune, and the location to that fortune is inscribed somewhere on this diamond that is now loose in the city. And just given that description, what you'd expect to come next would be a straight-up MacGuffin movie where everybody's just kind of chasing their tails and going after each other trying to track down this diamond. But the plot revolves less around Harley actually trying to obtain this diamond and more about her relationship with a young pickpocket she meets along the way. And that's really where the movie shines. It's in all these relationships that Harley forms, more or less, with these characters that are coming in and out of the story. I remember before this movie was released, these critics were coming out and saying that it was a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy. And while I don't think that Birds of Prey is necessarily on par with Guardians of the Galaxy, after seeing it, I can kind of see what they meant. There's a bunch of well-rounded and really distinct characters that all clash with each other, and the fun of the movie is just watching them in all of those moments where they interact. It really takes its time with letting us get to know some of these characters in each of their separate segments. We're spending a lot of time getting to know Black Canary and also this cop character who, she's also after Harley for different reasons other than revenge, obviously. So when these guys actually get together, you feel like you know enough about them to really get how tense the situation is or, really be excited about how these two really clashy characters are going to come head to head. The only weak point I found in that structure of the plot was actually the cop character. For me, her parts kind of suffered just because there are so many other more interesting characters and so much more going on that by comparison, she kind of felt like she slowed down the plot sometimes. But even so, I didn't really get the sense that anything felt like padding in this movie. The pace is great. Just as a sidebar on the topic of action and pace, it's really interesting to sit back and watch a movie that knows the difference between hot women doing combat and hot women combat. Hot women combat has a lot of lingering shots on upskirts, a lot of back arcing, and a lot of this. How a hot woman looks for danger. And the costume design in this movie is immaculate. Everybody's in these awesome little booty shorts. Everybody looks amazing. But they're not filmed that way. A lot of the action is filmed from a distance so you can actually see what's going on. And when things are slowed down, it's so that you can track things that are happening, not to linger on an ass. It's hot women doing combat. And if nothing else, see this movie for Margot Robbie. You can tell in this movie she was just having the time of her life. It occurred to me that Harley Quinn is kind of what Jack Sparrow used to be. Like a definite comedic focal point, but one that's perfectly fine and suited to the sidelines when some of the more serious characters have to have their turn in the spotlight. And don't get me wrong, this is definitely Harley Quinn's movie, but whenever I needed to get a little bit more heartfelt or serious, it was totally comfortable just pulling back and letting some of the other characters move to the forefront. I suspect this will be part of a series, but it's still just a fun standalone movie that you can just throw on anytime. It's like a well-made soup. Like, it's not the best soup, but it's got some really good ingredients. You got some gore, but not too much gore. A hearty helping of comedy, seasoned with lovable characters. Simmer for 2 hours. So, hot take or not? And I truly mean that. I'm a little disappointed this movie isn't doing so well. I think it's a great movie to see especially with a group of girlfriends. It's not setting up some big cinematic universe for the most part. It's not overly grand. It's just a fun time. Anyways, guys, that has been my review for the movie formerly known as Harley Quinn, The Fantabulous Birds of Prey, The Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn. Birds of Prey, The Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Birds of Prey.